funds, and those whose interest thou hast committed to our charge, and this we beg for Jesus Christ's sake. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of thy Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen.
Okay. The House is now open. I hope that was loud enough. So, we now have confirmation of minutes, and I'm just letting you know that the minutes of May the 26th are being deferred. Okay? Sorry, May the 15th, 2026 are being deferred. Messages from the governor, there are none. Announcements. I just want the House to know that the Speaker and the Clerk are attending a conference at the Commons and Overseas Territories Speakers Conference in Cayman Islands and are therefore absent today. Okay, message from the Senate, there are none. Papers and other communications to the House. I call on the Premier.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I have the honor to attach submit for the information, Honorable House of Assembly, the Premier, Ministers, and Opposition Leaders' Personal Staffs Act 2019 Annual Report 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. I call on the Minister of Tourism, Sports, Community Affairs. Minister.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. It's Minister of Tourism and Transport, Culture and Sport.
Oh,
Madam
I knew
Acting
it was
Speaker.
something. I just got home.
Madam Acting Speaker, I have the honor to attach and submit for the consideration of the Honorable House of Assembly the Tourism Investment Rosebud Bermuda Order 2026, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for tourism under Section 3 of the Tourism Investment Act 2017, together with written agreement of the Minister of Finance in exercise of the power conferred by Section 5 of the Tourism Investment Act 2017.
Thank you, Minister. I call on the Minister. The same Minister. Go.
Tourism, Transport,
Yes.
Culture, and Sport, Madam Acting Speaker. I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of this Honorable House of Assembly the Bermuda Airport Authority Annual Report 2023 to 2024. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Petitions, there are none. Statements by ministers and... Yeah, it's not. I call on the Minister of Economy and Labor. Minister, sorry for overlooking you. Yeah.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the annual report of the Registry General for the year ended the 31st of December 2025 in accordance with Section 19 of the Registration, Births and Deaths Act 1949.
Thank you, Minister, and again, apologies. As I said before, petitions, there are none. Now, statements by ministers and junior ministers. I call on the Premier and Minister of Finance.
Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to update this Honorable House on the recently completed Bermuda Digital Finance Forum and to outline the next steps the government will take to build on the momentum generated by that event. Madam Acting Speaker, Bermuda's place in the world has never been determined by our size. Our success has come from our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to recognize opportunities before others do. That is how Bermuda became one of the world's leading insurance and reinsurance centers. We worked with the regulator, listened to industry, protected our reputation, and built a sector that is now a cornerstone of our economy and internationally recognized for its innovation and regulatory excellence. Digital finance can be the next chapter of that story. Madam Acting Speaker, when this government first set out its fintech strategy, there were those who questioned whether digital assets had a future and whether Bermuda should be involved at all. Yet, while others doubted, Bermuda acted. Today, serious companies have established themselves here. Investment has followed. Bermuda has earned international recognition for leadership in digital asset regulation and innovation. We have built a respected regulatory framework and attracted world-class businesses, developed growing digital asset insurance market, and created an environment where innovators, investors, regulators, and policymakers come together to shape the future of finance. And for the second consecutive year, the Bermuda Digital Finance Forum demonstrated just how far Bermuda has come. Madam Acting Speaker, the forum brought together some of the most influential people and institutions shaping the future of finance, technology, regulation, digital assets, artificial intelligence, and tokenized financial products. The forum featured participation from Craig Swan, Chief Executive Officer of the Bermuda Monetary Authority, and other officials of the authority, alongside global digital finance leaders, including Dr. Nouriel Roubini, Charles Hawkinson, founder of the Cardano Network, Arjun Sethi, and David Ripley, co-CEOs of Kraken, one of the world's leading digital asset platforms, Sandy Call, Executive Vice President of Digital Assets and Innovation at Franklin Templeton, and leaders from firms and foundations that are choosing Bermuda as a place to build, grow, and operate within our respected regulatory framework. Across the institutional conference and community programming, more than 1,000 persons registered. The institutional conference itself attracted 524 attendees, including 227 local participants and 297 international participants. Madam Acting Speaker, the forum witnessed several important announcements. The Stellar Development Foundation announced its plans to support a digital Bermuda dollar on the Stellar blockchain network. The Bermuda Monetary Authority granted Bitcoin Suisse International dual approvals under the Digital Asset Business Act and the Investment Business Act, allowing that entity to provide regulated digital asset management and investment advisory services from Bermuda. Kimber Digital Assets Bermuda ISAC Limited, also known as Plume, received a Class M digital asset business license and is positioning Bermuda at the forefront of regulated tokenized real-world assets. Plume is the largest real-world asset platform in the global market, combining the transparency and accessibility of decentralized finance with prudential oversight from a globally respected financial regulator. STS Digital received a Class F digital assets business license after progressing through Bermuda's test, modified, and full licensing regime. Significantly, STS chose to relocate its operations from Switzerland to Bermuda, underscoring the growing recognition of Bermuda as a jurisdiction of choice for digital finance businesses seeking regulatory certainty and a credible pathway for international growth. Payward, the parent company of Kraken, and Franklin Templeton announced a partnership to expand tokenized financial products for institutional investors. And finally, the Near Foundation announced support for Bermuda as an infrastructure partner for AI-powered public services. Madam Acting Speaker, these announcements matter because they reflect the continued growth of Bermuda's digital finance sector and the confidence that leading firms and institutions have in our jurisdiction. Serious companies are choosing Bermuda. Global financial institutions are partnering here. New products are being launched from our jurisdiction, and new licenses continue to be granted under Bermuda's regulatory framework. Taken together, these developments reinforce Bermuda's position as a trusted, well-regulated, and internationally respected center for digital finance and innovation. That position did not happen by accident, Madam Acting Speaker. It is a result of years of work by the Bermuda Monetary Authority, legislative action by this Honorable House, and the deliberate strategy pursued by this government. Long before many larger jurisdictions entered this space, Bermuda established a framework that balanced innovation and strong oversight. Today, we are seeing the benefits of that approach as companies continue to choose Bermuda as a place to invest, build, and grow. Madam Acting Speaker, while the international component of the forum was important, one of the most encouraging aspects of this year's event was the increased participation of Bermudians. The community activation at Pier 6 brought together more than 500 people to learn about digital finance, set up digital wallets, and experience digital payments in a real-world marketplace. To encourage participation, the government sponsored 600 free tickets, allowing Bermudians to attend educational workshops, complete wallet onboarding, and receive up to $280 in digital assets. In total, over $62,000 of digital assets were distributed, including USDC, a US dollar stablecoin provided through Coinbase and Circle, and Kraken X stocks, which provide digital representation of traditional investment products. Participants receive Kraken X stocks representing shares in the Franklin Templeton Gold ETF in digital form. Madam Acting Speaker, while some of this may sound technical, although I'm sure the people who received their digital gold did not feel it was technical, the point is simple. Bermudians were not merely hearing about digital finance, they were using it. They learned how digital wallets worked, how digital assets can be received and stored, how payments can be made, and how digital assets can be saved and invested. 30 vendors were trained through the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation to accept digital payments. Those businesses successfully accepted payments during the event, and more than $20,000 in USD was spent with local vendors during the actual activation, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Entrepreneur Wanda Trupp-Murray of Patch That, Bermuda, described the experience as, and I quote, very smooth and easy transition with no cash in hand, end quote, noting that simplified payments allowed her to focus on her business. Her experience reflects what many participants discovered during the event, that digital payments can be efficient, accessible, and beneficial for both consumers and businesses. Madam Acting Speaker, that experience highlights an important question. If Bermudian businesses can accept digital payments, if Bermudians can use digital assets to purchase goods and services, and if regulated financial institutions can operate in this space, then when will the government create legislative certainty for its own use of digital assets? The answer, Madam Acting Speaker, is that the Cabinet has approved policy proposals to advance Bermuda's digital finance legislative framework. These proposals will modernize the FinTech Development Fund, update the Public Treasury Administration and Payments Act, and amend the Public Funds Act to ensure that digital assets can be accepted and managed under established public finance controls. Madam Acting Speaker, the FinTech Development Fund already exists in law, having been established by this Honorable House in 2018. This legislation will be updated so that it can support Bermuda's on-chain economy initiative and provide a mechanism through which contributions can be received and deployed to support education, entrepreneurship, and responsible digital finance development in Bermuda. The fund will support local entrepreneurs, training programs, public awareness initiatives, and projects that help Bermudians participate in this growing sector. It will operate with appropriate governance, reporting requirements, and oversight. Importantly, at least 50% of monies dispersed from the fund will be reserved for projects involving companies with majority Bermudian ownership. Madam Acting Speaker, the success of Bermuda's digital finance strategy cannot be measured solely by the number of international companies we attract. It must also be measured by the number of Bermudians who are able to participate, build businesses, develop new products and services, and create ownership opportunities within this sector. As Bermuda advances its global leadership in digital finance, Bermudians must have meaningful opportunities to share in the value that this industry creates. We must also recognize that while Bermuda has made significant progress, there is still more work to do. Some Bermudians who have sought to build businesses in this space have encountered challenges. And while Bermuda's regulatory framework has earned international respect and credibility, we must continue to modernize by creating clearer pathways for local participation while ensuring that Bermudians who prepare to innovate and invest have the support they need to succeed. Madam Acting Speaker, the Cabinet has also approved updates to the Public Treasury Administration and Payments Act and the Public Funds Act. These amendments will clarify the government's authority to accept stablecoins and other approved digital payments for government services, fees, and obligations, while also modernizing the framework governing the investment of public funds so that approved financial instruments may be held and managed in digital form where appropriate. They will confirm the Accountant General's role in establishing practical processes for receiving, managing, reconciling, and auditing those payments and assets. Financial instructions will likewise be updated where necessary to ensure that digital payments and digital financial instruments are subject to the same safeguards, accountability, and oversight that already apply to existing forms of payment and investment. These are not new standards, but simply the application of existing public finance controls to modern forms of money and finance. Madam Acting Speaker, I'm mindful that some may choose to distort what these changes mean. particularly when they hear references to government investing in digital assets. However, the reality is much simpler. Many traditional financial instruments are increasingly available in digital form. Treasury bills, money market instruments, and regulated fund products can now be issued, recorded, held, or settled digitally, while remaining subject to the same regulatory governance and investment standards that apply today. Madam Acting Speaker, the same approach that helped make Bermuda a global leader in insurance and reinsurance is now being applied to digital finance. Today, the results are clear. 65 international companies have chosen Bermuda. Global financial institutions are partnering with Bermuda. New financial products are being launched from Bermuda, and Bermudians are participating. At the same time, the government is putting in place the legal and operational framework necessary to ensure that the benefits of this growth are shared more broadly throughout our economy, creating opportunities for Bermudians to participate, build businesses, develop new skills, and benefit from the success of this emerging sector. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. I now call on the Minister for Housing. Minister?
Adjusted now.
And municipalities.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Madam Acting Deputy Speaker. I rise today to provide this Honorable House with a timely update on the government's resolute commitment to addressing one of the most demanding needs facing our community, namely the provision of accessible, high quality, and affordable housing for the people of Bermuda. Madam Acting Speaker, while certain detached commentators and predictable political critics have recently taken to the pages of the local periodicals, specifically the Royal Gazette, to call into question this government's vision and dedication, let me assure this House and the listening public that we are not distracted. We are focused on delivery. Let us be completely clear, Madam Acting Speaker. We are reading critiques from individuals who sat around a cabinet table for years and failed to deliver the affordable housing Bermuda desperately needed. Now, when the problem has been compounded in part by their years of inaction, they attempt to lecture us through the newspaper columns. While they look backwards and try to score political points, this government is looking forward and moving dirt. We are advancing a robust, thoroughly evaluated, and fiscally responsible strategy to bring a real and lasting relief to Bermudian families. Madam Acting Speaker, there are those who would have the public believe that a project of this scale should be micromanaged and directly from the minister's desk, or that working through our quangos somehow equates to a lack of oversight. Let me categorically correct that misconception. Madam Acting Speaker, let us be clear about how this government operates. Ministries, structures are about accountability, efficiency, and statutory alignment. The Ministry of Housing and Municipalities is designed to develop policy, establish strategy, and enforce strict regulatory oversight. We are not here to build empires within the civil service or duplicate roles. By directing this work through established statutory frameworks of the Bermuda Land Management Corporation and the Bermuda Housing Corporation, we are utilizing the exact entities that hold the specific legislative mandates, the specialized real estate portfolios, and the technical mechanisms necessary for large-scale delivery. By pairing our quangos with nimble, specialized private sector entities and leveraging the invaluable expertise of local engineers, project managers, and technical professionals, we harness the corporate flexibility and precise technical expertise required to manage massive construction and housing portfolios. This structure ring-fences the project commercially, ensures a rigorous separation between policy setting and procurement execution, and allows us these housing initiatives with the speed and strict oversight that the Bermuda public expects. We are not letting these entities work in silos. Madam Deputy Speaker, project delivery will be highly coordinated, joint effort overseen by the BHC in strict collaboration with the BOMC. To formalize their relationship both during and after the construction work, a memorandum of understanding is currently being established between BOMC and BHC to explicitly map out roles, responsibilities, procurement guidelines, and project delivery timelines. This structure allows us to move quickly on thoroughly vetted strategy. The BOMC has, in collaboration with the BHC and the Ministry, pressed on over the past several months with the intense feasibility assessments, site identifications, and engineering evaluations. Traditional Bermuda construction was examined, but frankly, Madam Deputy Speaker, it is too expensive and takes too long when our people need housing now. Following rigorous assessments that included physical site visits to overseas manufacturing facilities and multiple vendor evaluations, precast construction was determined to be the absolute best solution for our island and for our time frame. It is cost-effective, incredibly fast to assemble, exceptionally durable, and resilient against Bermuda's harsh and varied environmental conditions. Furthermore, Madam Acting Speaker, despite what the skeptics are claiming in the media, this is no untried experiment. This method has established an highly successful local track record. It was the exact methodology which was successfully deployed by the BOMC under its former entity, the West End Development Corporation, or WEDCO.
Was that around the America's Cup?
Oh, we'll get there. To replace the dilapidated and now demolished Victoria Road buildings. We know it works. We know it lasts. And because the BOMC has already done it, there's no ideal entity to lead this project. In fact, Madam Deputy Speaker, let us not forget that if the OBA had not stepped in and scaled back that exact development following the 2012 election, this country would have had an additional 80 affordable homes for our people well over 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am proud and excited to announce that this initial phase of affordable housing program will deliver 229 residential units strategically spread across 4 main sites. 24 two-bedroom units in Albert Row and Dockyard, 24 three-bedroom units and 12 two-bedroom units in Victoria Place Dockyard, 110 one-bedroom units in Southampton, adjacent to Dr. Cairns Park, 12 two-bedroom units and 12 three-bedroom units on Tommy Fox Road in St. David's, 35 single occupancy units retrofitted in the existing Channel House in St. David's, specifically for senior living. To ensure the highest standards, 2 premier partners have been identified, each with successful experience in Bermuda and the capability to meet our strict building codes. They are Coastal Precast Systems of Virginia, USA, who will be supporting the delivery at Albert Row, Victoria Place, and Tommy Fox Road, and Preconco Limited of Barbados to support the project at Dr. Cairns Park 2, as we are calling it at the moment. Madam Deputy Speaker, let me make one thing abundantly clear to this House and to the critics. Bermudian contractors and service providers will be at the very heart of this project. Local industry will play a key role in driving site preparation, civil works, foundations, infrastructure installation, and complete interior fit-outs. Channel House will be upgraded entirely by local contractors. We are marrying off site manufacturing efficiency with direct massive investment into the pockets of local workers. A project of this magnitude requires robust financial backing and commercial discipline, not political rhetoric. I am pleased to inform this House that financing has been fully secured through the Bermuda Commercial Bank and Clarion Bank Bermuda, backed by a government guarantee. Madam Acting Speaker, the total estimated investment for this initial phase is $114,750,000. Every single dollar of this investment represents a direct injection into the social fabric and economic future of this country. Running this work through our quangos does not mean a reduction in oversight. In fact, Madam Deputy Speaker, it means more efficient, rigorous, commercially structured process. The BOMC-led procurement framework includes the finalization of technical design specifications, structural engagement with suppliers, and evaluations based strictly on cost, capacity, code compliance, and delivery timelines. Contract finalization and mobilization will remain subject to all necessary approvals under BOMC's purview. Madam Deputy Speaker, while our overall vision through the housing strategy and our commitments for the future are important, I want to make it abundantly clear to this honorable House and to the listening public. We are not just talking about what we will build. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to share what this government is doing right now, again through the BHC. There's a lively parallel track of affordable developments in train, approaching the finish line and being delivered in the background while we hear the criticisms wash by. Let me quiet that noise with some more good news, Madam Deputy Speaker. This House will recall last week's news about the work at Middletown. It is now officially complete. The BHC is actively working with 4 Bermudian families to move them into these newly renovated 2-bedroom units immediately. And unlike the unrealistic market prices being charged elsewhere, the rent is set at a fair, truly affordable $1,400 per month. That is real relief delivered right now. At the Chelsea houses in St. David's, $2.7 million have been invested to build 5 units, consisting of 2 3-bedroom units and 3 2-bedroom units. The local contractor, Millwood Construction, is working diligently, and I am pleased to confirm that they are on target to be completed in July. The Battery Phase 2 development, also in St. David's, is in progress and invests $3.75 million to deliver another 12 units, consisting of 4 2-bedrooms, 2 1-bedroom units, and 6 studio units. This work will be completed between August and September of this year. Furthermore, Madam Deputy Speaker, new life is being breathed into the Harmony Club with an extensive multi-phase regeneration project. $2.6 million is being invested into the Harmony Terrace North to complete the repurpose of 16 efficiency units. Whenever we disturb older buildings, there are bound to be some unforeseen surprises, and this project is no different. Old ductwork, slabs discovered in ceiling spaces, and the need to shift a wall to create a proper pump room are among the challenges being dealt with. Completion of these works, Madam Deputy Speaker, are targeted for early next year. Looking ahead into 2027, Harmony Terrace South will be another 16 efficiency units completely retrofitted, with a target completion date in the third quarter of next year. To ensure that the Harmony Club campus is able to adequately serve its tenants, the BHC is spending a further $360,000 on trenching and essential infrastructure upgrades for Belco metering, transformers, communications, and pipe water to be installed. Materials for this work are arriving on site within the next few weeks. The work is expected to be complete in the third quarter of this year. Madam Deputy Speaker, despite the absolute nonsense being spun in the media, you can see that no one is dragging their feet on this side of the House. We are moving with purpose, we are moving with speed, and we are moving to deliver for the Bermudian people. Subject to planning approvals, contract finalization, and site preparation, we anticipate breaking ground in or around August this year. From the moment construction begins, we are looking at an aggressively high-efficient timeline of approximately 18 months to get Bermudians into these homes. Madam Deputy Speaker, while the contrarians write their newspaper columns and try to cast doubt on this government's capability, we will continue to do the tangible work of the people. We will be continuously engaging with area residents, community groups, and stakeholders every step of the way. Madam Deputy Speaker, this government promised to deliver affordable housing, and through the partnership with our Quengos, we are doing exactly that. Madam Deputy Speaker, in closing, I would like to acknowledge the sterling efforts of the team at BHC, BOMC, and the Ministry of Housing and Municipalities, who have been diligently managing these projects, especially Mr. Paul Martin, Mr. Andrew Diaz, Mr. Keno Farbert, who is doing five-man's job at the same time, and Mr. Blake Lambert. I would also like to thank the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee for their yeoman work. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of Economy and Labor. You have the floor.
Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to introduce the annual report of the Registrar General for the year ended December 31st, 2025. The Registrar General recognizes the essential role that vital statistics information plays in planning for the provision of services in areas such as tourism, health, education, and housing, to name a few, and has performed his duties to a high standard in recording, collating, and presenting of the data to be included in the annual report. Madam Acting Speaker, in accordance with Section 9 of the Registration, Births and Deaths Act 1949, the Registrar General shall, within 90 days after the expiration of each calendar year, compile for publication in such form and manner as the Minister may approve a summary of the births and deaths which occurred during the year, together with a general report on the increase or decrease of the population of Bermuda. Pursuant to Section 35 of the Marriage Act 1944, the Registrar General is also required to publish a summary of marriages concluding each year. Madam Acting Speaker, in preparation of the annual report, the Registrar has relied on information received from the Records Office of King Edward VII Hospital relating to births, local funeral directors, medical practitioners, and coroner's office in relation to deaths, local domestic partnership officers in relation to domestic partnerships, and from local marriage officers and masters of Bermuda registered ships in relation to local and maritime marriages respectively. Madam Acting Speaker, the report, which deals primarily with the vital statistics pertaining to the island's residential population, indicates that there has been a slight increase in the number of births. In 2025, there were 452 births, an increase of 27 over the 425 births recorded in 2024. Madam Acting Speaker, the distribution of live births by nationality for 2025, based on information provided by parents at the time of registration of their child's birth, shows that 75.4% or 341 of the total live births have at least one Bermudian parent. In 2025, 111 or 24.6% of the births have parents who are both non-Bermudian. Madam Acting Speaker, honorable colleagues, I advise that in 2025, 552 deaths were recorded amongst residents, a decrease from the 602 deaths recorded in 2024. The report also indicates that there were 6 deaths in respects to non-resident persons, which brings the total number of deaths recorded for 2025 to 558. Madam Acting Speaker, for the year ending the 31st of December 2025, 273 marriages were performed in Bermuda, a decrease of 56 or 20.5% from the 329 marriages recorded in 2024. During 2025, marriages between parties who were both non-resident accounted for 95 or 34.8% of the total 273. The report also shows that there were 148 marriages between parties who were both residents and 30 marriages between a resident and a non-resident. Madam Acting Speaker, marriages are regularly performed aboard 28 Bermuda registered ships. In 2025, the number of maritime marriages was 490, which represents an increase of 145 or 29.6% from the 2024 total of 345. The increase is due to efforts of the cruise line industry to expand services for weddings on board their ships. The cumulative number of marriages, local and maritime, processed through the Registry General for the year ending the 31st of December 2025 was 763 as compared to 674 for the year 2024. Madam Acting Speaker, the Domestic Partnership Act 2018 allows for the formalization of unions between partners. In 2025, there were 4 domestic partnership unions recorded. All 4 domestic partnership unions were between couples who were resident, and they were formalized at the Registry General Office. In closing, Madam Acting Speaker, the annual report provides an illustrated statistical digest of vital events such as births, deaths, stillbirths, marriages, domestic partnerships, adoptions, and re-registration of births in Bermuda for the year ended the 31st of December 2025. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of, Minister Farby. Yes.
Good morning, and thank you, Acting Speaker. I stand before this Honorable House to announce the Pilot Hearing Support Program. Hearing is fundamental to how we experience the world. It allows us to connect with others, engage in our communities, and maintain our overall well-being. According to the World Health Organization, more than 1.5 billion people worldwide experience some degree of hearing loss. Hearing loss is defined as the inability to hear as well as someone with normal hearing, typically measured as thresholds of 20 decibels or better in both ears, and can range from mild to profound, affecting one or both ears. Madam Acting Speaker, hearing loss can occur at any stage of life. However, it is particularly prevalent amongst older adults. Again, the World Health Organization estimated in 2019 that over 65% of adults aged 60 and older experience hearing loss. In fact, age-related hearing loss is one of the leading causes of years lived with disability globally, and the leading cause amongst adults over the age of 70. Madam Acting Speaker, census data based on self-reporting often underestimates mild or moderate hearing loss. In 2010, 814 people in Bermuda reported hearing difficulties or complete deafness, with 775 with difficulties at 95.2% and 39 with complete deafness at 4.8%. Of these, 209, 25.7%, said their condition was disabling. Most cases, 57.5%, were among those aged 65 plus, and women comprised nearly 57% of disabling cases. Age group analysis shows hearing difficulties affect all adults, not just seniors. Hearing loss rates were similarly across racial groups. However, this information is outdated, highlighting the need for updated data to reflect current trends and practices, and we look forward to updated information following the completion of the 2026 census, which will support continued planning and ongoing development of this program. Madam Acting Speaker, the impact of hearing loss extends well beyond physical health. It can significantly affect quality of life among older adults. Untreated hearing loss is strongly associated with social isolation and loneliness. When individuals struggle to hear and participate in conversations, they may begin to withdraw from social situations. Research shows that those who experience hearing loss who do not use hearing aids, report higher levels of loneliness, increased rates of depression, and overall lower quality of life. Emerging research also highlights a connection between hearing loss and cognitive decline. The Lancet Commission on Dementia Prevention identified hearing loss as a risk factor for dementia, particularly when addressed in midlife. While causation has not been definitely established, reduced auditory input may contribute to decreased cognitive stimulation over time, in addition to social isolation, another risk factor for dementia. The Commission recommends that hearing loss be addressed across the life course through both public health strategies and individual action. Madam Acting Speaker, while the Department of Financial Assistance provides essential support to our community, including coverage for standard hearing aids, gaps still remain. Financial assistance clients and persons with public or private insurance may still face co-payments for hearing tests, which can discourage uptake. In addition, hearing tests and hearing devices are not covered under the current Future Care or HIP plans, and Future Care is the largest insurer of our seniors on island. As a result, many individuals continue to face financial barriers to accessing essential hearing care. In its response to the growing body of international evidence and current system gaps, that the Ministry of Youth, Social Development and Seniors has commissioned a pilot hearing support benefit program through a targeted grant administered by Age Concern. The ministry will provide support towards the cost of hearing assessments and hearing devices for adults in financial need who are uninsured or underinsured. The program launched early May and applications are available. Adults requiring support for hearing tests or hearing aids may make application for this benefit program. Applications will be available from Age Concern and hearing service providers. All applications will be submitted to Age Concern, who will assess applicants aged 50 and older, while applications for individuals 50 and under will be sent to Aging and Disability Services for review. This initiative is designed both to respond to current gaps and to build a clearer understanding of demand, helping to inform sustainable long-term solutions. The Ministry of Health is advancing significant work through health reform and universal coverage. Accordingly, this pilot will provide targeted support now while contributing valuable insight for health's broader system development efforts. Madam Acting Speaker, our government is committed to ensuring that people with disabilities, including those experiencing hearing loss, have access to the support and services they need to live healthy and connected lives. We also recognize the importance of prevention, particularly as it relates to reducing the risk of dementia within our community. We encourage all individuals to protect their hearing and to seek assessment and support as early as possible, and to make application to the hearing support program if needed. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I believe you have a second paper, do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, whenever you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you. Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to speak about an issue that goes to the heart of who we are as a country: how we treat persons with disabilities, how we remove barriers to full participation in the community, and how we build a Bermuda that truly works for everyone. For too long, persons with disabilities in Bermuda have told us clearly and consistently that despite existing laws, they continue to face discrimination, exclusion, and barriers that many of us never have to consider. Barriers in public spaces, employment, education, housing, transportation, digital access, and public services, to name a few. To be clear, Madam Acting Speaker, disability inclusion is not about charity. It is not about accommodation as an afterthought. It is about dignity, rights, fairness, and respect. Madam Acting Speaker, when Bermuda adopted the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, we made a statement to the world, and more importantly to our own people, that persons with disabilities are entitled to full inclusion, equal opportunity, and real participation in every aspect of public life. That commitment was not symbolic. It was a call to action. Listening to the voices of persons with disabilities and their families has made one thing abundantly clear. Despite the existence of legislation designed to protect the rights of people with disabilities, this is not enough. We are aware improvements must be made as persons with disabilities continue to experience discrimination and are faced with systemic barriers that impact full and equal participation in society. This is supported by the Human Rights Commission's Disability Inclusion Report titled "Nothing About Us Without Us," by underscoring the need for sustained improvements. This government is committed to taking decisive action to move from promise to delivery by advancing two pathways concurrently: strengthening and amending existing legislation, while also establishing standalone legislation through a comprehensive disability act. Madam Acting Speaker, one pathway prioritizes more immediate legislative gains, delivering early and tangible benefits for persons with disabilities, while the other provides for comprehensive system-wide reform of existing standards. This second pathway will require a longer time frame for the development and implementation of new legislation. It has also been determined that alongside the advancement of both legislative pathways, a dedicated disability unit will be established. This disability unit will be a foundational component in driving disability inclusion across government and throughout our society. Madam Acting Speaker, during the initial phase, the priority is developing the scope and role of the disability unit and establishing the appropriate legal framework that would provide a clear, enforceable statutory mandate to coordinate, monitor, and proactively drive disability inclusion across public and private sectors. The disability unit will be staffed by a program manager and an education and accessibility officer. The program manager will assist with the development and implementation of standards and guidance to systematically address societal barriers to inclusion. The education and accessibility officers will work to assist stakeholders with implementing accessibility standards and lead education campaigns to improve public awareness of the rights of persons with disabilities, inclusion, and what inclusion looks like in employment, customer service, public spaces, transportation, and how we communicate information. Madam Acting Speaker, Aging and Disability Services will continue to advance amendments to the Human Rights Act of 1981, such as the enhancement of the definition of disability, in addition to identifying, aligning, and coordinating proactive enforcement standards under the disability unit within the legislative framework for the Human Rights Act. This ensures our domestic framework aligns with international standards and reflects a modern and more effective approach to inclusion. However, disability-related amendments to the Human Rights Act must be developed in consultation and coordination with existing initiatives underway by the Human Rights Commission. Madam Acting Speaker, disability inclusion is not the responsibility of one ministry alone. I want to repeat that, Madam Acting Speaker, disability inclusion is not the responsibility of one ministry alone. It touches housing, it touches health, education, transportation, planning, employment, financial assistance, and digital services, to name a few. That is why this work is deliberately cross-ministerial. We are breaking down silos and building shared ownership across government. Just as importantly, this work is being guided by a principle that has been voiced clearly and repeatedly by the disability community: nothing about us without us. Persons with disabilities are not passive recipients of policy. They are experts in lived experiences. Their voices must help shape how systems are designed, how services are delivered, and how standards are enforced. Madam Acting Speaker, let me also say this: inclusion benefits all of us. And this is why it was extremely important over the past year for Aging and Disability Services to engage in internal and external consultation with stakeholders so that this policy direction has the input needed to make meaningful impact for change. Madam Acting Speaker, our vision is clear: a Bermuda where persons with disabilities can live, work, learn, and fully participate without unnecessary barriers, without exclusion, and without having to fight for basic access and equal opportunity. That is the direction of this government. It is committed to taking to ensure we strengthen and empower persons with disability to be fully included in all aspects of life in Bermuda so that no one gets left behind. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Now we move on to the Ministry of National Security, and I call on the said minister.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Good morning, colleagues and listening audience. Madam Speaker, Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to inform this Honorable House and the people of Bermuda of an important investment in our national emergency response capability. The Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service has now commissioned 4 new Rosenboro Panther Airport rescue and firefighting crash tenders for deployment at the Aleph Bed International Airport. These vehicles have been received, the required training and familiarization have been completed, and the new fleet is now in operational service. Madam Acting Speaker, this is a significant milestone for the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service, for airport operations, and for public safety more broadly. The Aleph Bed International Airport is Bermuda's principal air gateway. It connects our people to the world, supports our tourism and business sectors, and plays a vital role in the movement of residents, visitors, goods, medical travel, and emergency support. Madam Acting Speaker, ensuring that the airport is supported by a strong, reliable, and properly equipped airport rescue and firefighting capability is therefore not optional, it is essential. The commissioning of these 4 new crash tenders renews a critical frontline asset and replaces aging specialist vehicles with modern appliances designed specifically for the airport emergency response environment. The previous vehicles had reached the end of their useful service life and were becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. Replacing them was therefore necessary to reduce operational risk, improve reliability, and ensure that the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service can continue to deliver the specialist response capability required at the airport. Madam Acting Speaker, the Rosenboro Panther is a highly specialized airport rescue and firefighting vehicle. It is designed to support rapid response, effective firefighting performance, and operational reliability in circumstances where seconds matter. In an airport emergency, speed, coordination, and capability are essential. These vehicles are built to deliver high extinguishing performance, support safe incident management, and enable firefighters to respond quickly and effectively to aircraft-related incidents. This new fleet strengthens the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service ability to meet the response demands associated with airport rescue and firefighting operations. It also supports the continuity of airport operations, which is a matter of national importance. Madam Acting Speaker, I want to be clear that acquiring specialist vehicles of this nature is only one part of the work. The successful commissioning of this fleet also required training, familiarization, operational preparation, and coordination among the relevant personnel. Firefighters and technical staff have completed the required training in the operation and maintenance of the vehicles, allowing them to be fully integrated into frontline response arrangements at the airport. That preparation ensures that the investment is not simply sitting on the apron as new equipment, but is actively supporting operational readiness. Madam Acting Speaker, this investment reflects the government's continued commitment to strengthening emergency response infrastructure and supporting the men and women who serve on the front lines. Our firefighters are asked to respond in some of the most challenging and time-sensitive circumstances. They deserve equipment that is fit for purpose, reliable, and capable of supporting the level of service expected of a modern airport rescue and firefighting operation. The commissioning of these 4 crash tenders will improve reliability, reduce the operational risks associated with aging specialist vehicles, and strengthen Bermuda's ability to respond to emergencies at our principal air gateway. Of course, the sustained benefit of this investment will depend on routine maintenance, recurrent training, and sound asset management. Those responsibilities will remain central to ensuring that this fleet continues to serve Bermuda effectively over the medium term. Madam Acting Speaker, I also wish to acknowledge the leadership and professionalism of the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service throughout this process. The service continues to play a vital role in national safety, not only through structural firefighting and emergency response across the island, but also through its specialist airport rescue and firefighting responsibilities. I extend my appreciation to the Chief Fire Officer, Mr. Dana Lovell, the officers and firefighters assigned to airport operations, the technical and support personnel involved in the commissioning process, and all those who contributed to bringing this new fleet into service. Their work ensures that Bermuda remains prepared, responsive, and ready to meet the demands placed on its emergency services. Madam Acting Speaker, the commissioning of these 4 Rosenbaum Panther Airport Rescue and Firefighting crash tenders represents a practical investment in public safety, strengthening emergency preparedness at the LFB International Airport, and ensuring that our firefighters have the specialist equipment required to protect life and support and support our safe airport operations. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of Home Affairs. Minister Lightbourne, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I rise today to report to this honorable House and the public on the consultation that the Ministry of Home Affairs has conducted on the transition and intention to pursue full membership in CARICOM. That consultation opened earlier this year with the tabling of the Green Paper, the Story of Us, and the launch of the public campaign. Madam Acting Speaker, the public engagement has run in 2 stages, one before the Green Paper and one after. Before publication, Madam Acting Speaker, the Ministry consulted stakeholders to shape the structure and content of the Green Paper itself, inviting views on the elements that must be included in its contents. After publication, the Ministry opened the the consultation to the wider public. That phase has carried island-wide town halls, structured sessions with public and private sector bodies, regional associations, faith communities, youth groups, and educational institutions, and an online survey at togetherforcaricom.gov.bm. The town hall series concluded with a final session held last week in St. George's. Madam Acting Speaker, across the engagement, the ministry has heard supportive views, undecided views, and opposed views. The questions raised most often concern the cost of membership, the protection of Bermuda's immigration and economic frameworks, and tangible return on a deeper regional position, all of which the ministry has sought to advance and also reply in detail. The ministry has also tracked every concern, and its intention is to capture the feedback and its summary in all elements of the consultation as part of the forward published white paper. Madam Acting Speaker, as the country will recall, this PLP government has been open and transparent with the intention to pursue full membership in CARICOM, and with that commitment, the Ministry of Home Affairs has advanced this important public policy discussion. Madam Acting Speaker, the ties that bind Bermuda to the Caribbean predate every policy paper. They begin at the water. The same Atlantic that brought our ancestors here brought their ancestors there. The same hands that worked Bermudians' lands worked Caribbean lands. The same names that appear in our parish registers also appear in theirs. Madam Acting Speaker, our community carries Caribbean ancestry in its bones. And the question before us is not whether Bermuda is connected to the Caribbean, but rather if it values its development enough to stand not just in title but in work, alongside other developed nations. Madam Acting Speaker, the journey to this moment is not sudden. It has been a steady walk. The Caribbean community was founded in 1973 by the Treaty of Chaguaramas. Bermuda joined as an associate member, as this Honorable House has heard, in 2003, and for more than 20 years, Bermuda has been on the margins of regionalism, believing that we've meaningfully contributed. We have provided and spoken without voting, and we have been counted without our perspective truly being weighed. Madam Acting Speaker, the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas signed in 2001 opens up with a preamble that sets the guiding framework for the association. It defines a commitment to deepening regional economic integration, a commitment to sustained economic development built on international competitiveness, commitment to coordinating economic and foreign policies, commitment to functional cooperation, and a commitment to enhance trade and economic relations. These are the operating principles under which Bermuda was seeking to deepen its participation. Madam Acting Speaker, since the release of the Green Paper, the ministry has engaged in a deliberate cross-section of Bermuda. The following stakeholder consultations have been completed and are scheduled before the close of this phase. We've held 3 public town hall meetings held in Central, West, and East parishes, meetings with Bermuda College and their senior executives, executive teams of the Bermuda Chamber of Commerce, Alt Bermuda, Barrett's Bermuda, the Association of Bermuda International Companies, and each engagement, the ministry has presented the Green Paper, answered questions, and recorded views for the record. Madam Acting Speaker, parallel to their stakeholder consultations, the ministry has rolled out a public education campaign across digital platforms, broadcast media, and community venues. The Story of Us has reached households, business owners, and community institutions across the island. Business owners have named their benefits of the regional market access. Educators have named the benefit of regional academic mobility. Cultural institutions have named the benefit of regional artistic exchange. But Madam Acting Speaker, the campaign has carried interviews with counterparts from other British overseas territories, those same counterparts who have shared their intentions to deepen integration themselves with CARICOM and to follow the path that Bermuda is now walking. The region is moving, and Bermuda is not moving alone, or not seeking to move alone. Madam Acting Speaker, while the ministry educates, informs, and listens, it also notes the messages of division that have surfaced each time the country seems to seek to advance. The Omnibus survey records that 53% of Bermudians were in support of CARICOM in 2024. The same voices that work to shape opinion against full membership also insist on an unnecessary referendum. They trade in speculation about economic, social, and constitutional consequences that the Green Paper has already addressed. Madam Acting Speaker, there is a disparity in this debate that deserves to be named. That there are Bermudian companies that have already expanded quietly through the Caribbean region. They have opened offices in regional capitals, they have moved goods across regional ports, and they have built service lines across market access. They have done all of this while sharing the value of regional access. Yet some of them, and those same operators, have spoken privately to government about the value of that access, and they turn to the public, however, to spread mistruths about CARICOM. The ministry will not name them today, but the record speaks for itself. Madam Acting Speaker, that disparity carries a deeper pattern, and that is the inherent desire in some quarters to confuse and to deter ordinary Bermudians from accessing the very value that a small number of well-placed actors have been already unlocking exponentially. That pattern is not new in this country. It is a pattern that has kept opportunity narrow for generations. This government is committed to widening the gate, not to gardening it for the few. Madam Acting Speaker, on the question of tangible return, the consultation has surfaced concrete evidence, but invites the declaration of policy, which informs law and the way that we evolve in governance to a date that we have not successfully, and that to date we have not successfully advanced. We heard in our consultations of vehicles procured for the Bermuda Royal Regiment from Jamaica that were sourced cheaper than the average price and the equivalent prices in the US and other jurisdictions. That is just one purchase, and the savings we speak plainly. The Caribbean Community's 20 by 25 regional food production agreement, led by Guyana and partner states, is exactly the kind of supply arrangement Bermuda is shut out of, and as an associate member. Bermuda imports roughly 90% of its food, and a seat and an ability to have a decision in food and regional security is not abstract. It matters to grocery bills, and it matters to Bermudians. Madam Acting Speaker, fear has traveled alongside this debate for generations. The fear-mongering that has surfaced draws on that inheritance. It tells Bermudians that free movement would overwhelm us. It tells Bermudians that CSME will compromise our economy. And it tells Bermudians that full members will erode our sovereignty and shake our constitutional order. None of those claims are withstand in the Green Paper, and none of those claims withstands the record of associate membership. They are the same warnings dressed in new language with new actors that have been used in this country before to keep Bermuda separate from their natural family. Madam Acting Speaker, this government refuses to govern by inherited fear. We respect every honest concern, and we will answer every honest question. We will not let old posture decide new generational future. Madam Acting Speaker, let the record be precise about what full membership does and does not change. Bermuda retains full control over its borders. Bermuda retains its work permits system. Bermuda will not adapt free movement of persons under the Caribbean single market and economy, and this is a government settled negotiating position. Madam Acting Speaker, the precedent is real and it is working. Bahamas has been a full member of CARICOM for 43 years. Across those decades, the Bahamas has had strict national control over its immigration and its financial services sector. A full member can guard its borders and its economy, and this is the same negotiating frame that applies to Bermuda. Madam Acting Speaker, the cost has been plainly spoken about loudly, so let it be spoken also about accurately. Bermuda's anticipated contribution as a full member, anticipated contribution is 2.28 million, and that is circulated in public commentary as a theoretical maximum for a member adopting the full Treaty of Chagaramis and the full single market and economy. This is not the path that Bermuda is on. Bermuda's contribution remains subject to the terms and negotiations of the government and the CARICOM member states. Madam Acting Speaker, the public consultation on Green Paper closes on Sunday, the 31st of May. Until that date, members of the public may review the Green Paper, complete the survey, and submit feedback through the dedicated portal at togetherforcaricom.gov.bm. Every submission received will be reviewed by the ministry. And Madam Acting Speaker, should this step advance, the decision does not rest with Bermuda alone. Each member state of the Caribbean community will need to accept Bermuda's application. That is the standard accession process under the path of the treaty, and the ministry has engaged regional partners in that spirit. Madam Acting Speaker, at the close of the consultation phase, the ministry will review the feedback from the public, from the Legal Affairs Committee in the Secretariat, and from the United Kingdom. The ministry will then prepare the white paper that sets the government's settled position. That white paper will incorporate the consultation feedback and the legal review of the treaty reservations identified for Bermuda's specific constitutional circumstances. Final terms remain subject to negotiation with the CARICOM Secretariat to the agreement of all full members of the community. The white paper will be tabled thereafter in this honorable House for the consideration of every member. Madam Acting Speaker, some have asked why the government pursues a regional position while families face the cost of living at home. The answer is that a government can do both. A responsible government can invest in healthcare, in affordable housing, in education, in social protections, in infrastructure, in cost of living, and in job creation through the Ministry of Finance and an annual budget. The regional engagement runs along that domestic delivery. It does not compete with it. Responsible government carries both at once. In closing, Madam Acting Speaker, this government thanks the community for engaging during this consultation meaningfully, and we will continue to receive feedback at togetherforcaricom.gov.bm and invite members of the public to submit their feedback by May 31st. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I believe you have a second paper, Minister? You can have a drink of water first if you...
You're too kind, Madam Acting Speaker. Okay. Yeah, Madam Acting Speaker, I also rise today to update this honorable House on the work being advanced by the Ministry of Home Affairs through the Department of Energy to reconstitute Bermuda's Space and Satellite Advisory Panel. This work represents another step forward in the government's commitment to economic diversification, regulatory innovation, and long-term strategic planning for Bermuda's future. Madam Acting Speaker, honorable members of this House may recall that Bermuda previously undertook a strategic initiative to position itself within the global space and satellite industry through the development of the Bermuda National Space Strategy 2025. Supported by an earlier Space and Satellite Advisory Panel. This work established a clear vision for Bermuda to leverage its strengths in regulation, insurance, and international partnerships to participate meaningfully in the growing global space economy. The strategy identified key opportunity areas including satellite communications, Earth observations, and space insurance, and established strategic pillars focused on policy development, domestic capacity building, international engagement, and the utilization of Bermuda's orbital resources. Madam Acting Speaker, shortly after the development of this strategy, the global COVID-19 pandemic significantly disrupted its intended implementation. The previous advisory panel, which played a central role in shaping the strategy and guiding its earlier momentum, was unable to reconvene as planned. As a result, many of the initiatives envisioned under the 2020-2025 framework included deeper industry engagement, regulatory advancement, and capacity building efforts were not fully realized. Now, in 2026, this ministry is taking a deliberate step to reconstitute and to build on that earlier foundation. The reconstitution of the Space and Satellite Advisory Panel represents not a restart, but a continuation of a modernization of that original vision, one that reflects both the lessons learned and the evolving realities of the global space economy. Madam Acting Speaker, Bermuda has had a long history of contributing significantly to highly specialized international industries. Our jurisdiction has established a reputation for strong regulations, solid governance, financial services, insurance knowledge, and global connections. These are not abstract strengths. However, they are practical advantages that Bermuda can use to compete in new and developing industries with purpose, discipline, and credibility. Opportunities in satellite communications, Earth observation, space, finance, insurance, data services, research and development, and new technologies are all contributing to the rapid expansion of the global space economy. Bermuda must therefore be deliberate in determining where we can engage, where we can collaborate, and where we can provide lasting value for our people. Madam Acting Speaker, the global space economy is already valued at over 600 billion and is projected to exceed 1 trillion in the coming decades. That is not a distant or speculative market. It reflects a rapidly expanding commercial sector with tangible opportunities today. For Bermuda, the opportunity is not theoretical, but the opportunity focuses on areas where we already have competitive advantage, including insurance, financial services, and regulatory frameworks. Bermuda is well positioned to capture a meaningful share of this growth and unlock new, high-value economic activity for the island. Madam Acting Speaker, I'm pleased to advise this Honorable House that we have received and approved the proposed membership of the Space and Satellite Advisory Panel, enabling the panel to be formally constituted and commence important work. This goes beyond simply reestablishing the committee, and the target group will work on the development of the revised space strategy and ensure that the direction is guided by best practices, commercial realities, and Bermuda's domestic contacts. This will also support and connect to local workforce development and connect to our space policy. The panel will include Doug Little, Chair of the UK Space and Professor in Practice at the University of Surrey, Colin Baldwin, Executive Director of the UK Space and former head of the Local Growth Strategy at the UK Space Agency, who has experience in national strategy, cluster development, and startup support. Libby Jackson, Head of Space at the Science Museum and former European Space and Agency Flight Director and Head of Space Exploration with the UK Space Agency. Mr. Gordon, General Partner of One Ventures, who will contribute specialist knowledge on venture capital, investment frameworks, and mobilization of private capital. Keith Ryden, Director of Surrey Space Center. Dr. Joanna Hart, Director of Space Partnerships, who will provide expertise in investment, again, cluster development, and workforce initiatives. The Bermuda representatives on the panel include Fiona Beck, Independent Director and former Bermuda Business Development Agency Director, with experience in digital infrastructure, subsea cables, and international connectivity. Craig Swan, Chief Executive Officer of the Bermuda Monetary Authority, whose experience is in financial regulation, insurance supervision, and policy. And Mr. Philip J. Parenchief, Attorney at Law and former Attorney General of Bermuda. Madam Acting Speaker, collectively, this panel provides comprehensive coverage across key areas of Bermuda, and they are each willing to participate meaningfully in the global space economy. These include capital and economies commercialization and local industry alignment. The panel will operate under a structured framework, and this will include 2 plenary sessions supported by thematic working groups focused on priority areas such as Earth stations, spectrums, small satellite, space insurance, and emerging technologies. The panel is supported by subcommittees that will organize its work, prepare materials, and coordinate meetings to ensure that the findings are captured clearly in Bermuda's updated national space strategy. The updates and outputs in the report will ensure that expert recommendations, a roadmap that sets out Bermuda's priorities, and will allow for us to move from the opportunity to implementation. Madam Acting Speaker, Earth stations are one of the priority themes assigned to the panel's working groups, which is deliberate. The panel's expertise will inform the government's review of the consultative responses, and the next steps will follow. A key area, Madam Acting Speaker, is the International Telecommunications Union orbital slots. These assets require careful policy considerations and strategic engagement if they are to be properly leveraged. This work all supports Bermuda's ambition to become a leading jurisdiction for space finance. Bermuda already has a respected risk capital ecosystem, a sophisticated insurance and reinsurance market, and financial services sector known for innovation and regulatory strength. These strengths will be applied to the space sector to attract new investment, create opportunities, and support new insurance risk. We are pleased to be part of the economic diversification, and through reconstitution of the Space and Satellite Advisory Panel, we believe this to be a critical step in positioning Bermuda as a credible and competitive participant in the global space economy. I look forward to updating this honorable House as the work of the panel progresses and we move towards the development of Bermuda's updated national space strategy. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of Cabinet Office and Digital Innovation. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to highlight the launch of the Grow Local initiative by the Department of Planning, developed in collaboration with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Madam Acting Speaker, the agricultural industry has long played an important role in Bermuda's history, culture, and resilience. However, over many decades, agricultural activity has experienced a steady decline, which has made us increasingly reliant on imported food and more vulnerable to supply chain disruptions, extreme weather events, and international price volatility. Madam Acting Speaker, according to the information held in the planning system, Bermuda currently has approximately 737 acres of designated agricultural land. However, only half of this is currently being used for agricultural purposes, meaning that we have a substantial capacity to increase local crop production. Mr. Speaker, during the preparation of development plans, the Department of Planning receives multiple requests for the removal of protective agricultural designations in the interest of maximizing the development potential of land. While it is recognized people will naturally seek to maximize the value of land within their ownership, one of the principal rationales offered in support of requests for the removal of agricultural reserve designations is the belief that there is no demand for agricultural land due to the decline in the industry. Madam Acting Speaker, this assertion is in the contrast to the experience of officers within the Department of Environment and Natural Resources who receive multiple inquiries each month from people looking for land to farm. Such requests are not only from existing commercial farmers, but from individuals looking to establish themselves in the sector, as well as those looking for small plots for domestic scale crop production. Madam Speaker, the Grow Local initiative has been developed to address this disconnect. Central to the initiative is an online platform which seeks to connect willing landowners with prospective farmers to maximize farming opportunities across the island. Through the platform, landowners will be able to market land within their ownership, which they are willing to make available for farming opportunities. Prospective farmers will be able to view details of available sites, and the department will be able to make landowners aware of any inquiries received and make the necessary connections. Madam Acting Speaker, it's important to highlight that the platform is a facilitation tool, and any decisions regarding the use of that land within private ownership shall remain entirely at the discretion of the landowner. Any subsequent arrangements or agreements will be at the discretion of the participants. The initiative will not be restricted to designated agricultural sites. Any site suitable for farming purposes would be included. Furthermore, I would like to make clear that any sites which enter into this initiative which do not have an agricultural reserve designation will not be designated as agricultural reserve through this process. The aim is not to rezone, only to explore the potential. Madam Acting Speaker, the government has previously confirmed the preparation of an integrated agricultural strategy for the island, which states objectives for the emerging strategy, including the need to make better use of technology to improve domestic food production, explore the means of making land more available for production, and encouraging greater participation in the agricultural structure. The Grow Local initiative directly supports these objectives and will play a complementary role in the advancement of that strategy. Madam Acting Speaker, I do believe that we need to think of more creative ways of boosting local food production. And while there has been some local traction in relation to alternative farming techniques, there is clearly still a place for traditional crop farming in Bermuda, and I hope the Grow Local platform will assist in increasing the supply of land available for farming. Madam Acting Speaker, I'd like to conclude my statement by encouraging members of the community to view the Grow Local initiative as an opportunity to participate in a collective national effort that can deliver meaningful long-term benefits for Bermuda. Increasing local food production is directly connected to food security, public health, environmental sustainability, and our long-term resilience as an island community. Greater access to fresh and local grown produce benefits all of us, while also helping to reduce our reliance on costly and often lower quality imported food. Madam Acting Speaker, I believe that Bermuda possesses both the land and the people necessary to help strengthen our domestic food supply, and I hope that the Grow Local initiative will help connect more members of our community with agriculture. For further details of the Grow Local initiative, please visit the Department of Planning website at planning.gov.bm. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of Public Works.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I rise this morning to inform this honorable House of the government's intention to purchase the Compass Point building located on 9 Bermudiana Road, Pembroke, as part of a broader effort to modernize government's operation, reduce long-term rental costs, improve public service delivery, and strengthen the government's long-term financial position. At its core, this proposal is about a simple principle. The government should spend taxpayer funds responsibly, operate efficiently, and build long-term public value wherever possible. Madam Acting Speaker, government office accommodation is currently spread across a combination of government-owned buildings and privately leased commercial space, primarily within the city of Hamilton. This fragmented arrangement creates inefficiencies, increased costs, limits coordination between departments, and makes it more difficult for the public to access services. At the same time, the government continues to spend substantial sums each year on commercial rent without creating a lasting public asset in return. In the 2026-27 financial year alone, projected spending on commercial rent is expected to approach $11 million, excluding utilities and service charges. Madam Acting Speaker, that is a significant recurring expense. Leasing will always have a role to play. However, continuing indefinitely with this level of dependence on private rental accommodation is neither financially sustainable nor operationally efficient. We are equally mindful that every dollar spent on rent is a dollar not directed towards roads, housing, public services, or other national priorities. It is also important that the government plans are not only for today's pressures, but for the future as well.
Okay.
For that reason, the notice of motion I will put before this honorable House later today is not simply about acquiring office space. It is part of a broader strategy to modernize the way the government operates, improve working environments for public officers, and create infrastructure that supports more effective service delivery over the long term. Madam Acting Speaker, the public should know that as part of our analysis, the government looked into several options, including constructing a new government office complex. However, it was determined that a project of that scale would require a substantial upfront investment and several years of planning, approvals, procurement, and construction before becoming operational. During that time, the government would still be required to maintain its existing leased accommodation and continue paying millions annually in rental costs while awaiting completion. For those reasons, constructing a new facility is not considered the most timely or cost-effective solution to the issue before us. Madam Acting Speaker, the proposal being advanced is practical and immediate in its impact. The Compass Point building provides over 81,000 square feet of structurally sound office space, supported by reliable infrastructure, backup power capacity, and the ability to create synergies by accommodating multiple interconnected government departments under one roof. Madam Acting Speaker, this is not simply about moving departments into a new building. When departments that work closely together are located in one place, coordination improves. Services become more streamlined. Delays can be reduced, and members of the public are able or better able to access government services without navigating multiple locations. This strategy also creates an important opportunity for the government to address the condition of aging public buildings. The purchase of Compass Point will create the swing space necessary for the government to temporarily relocate departments from older facilities, allowing comprehensive refurbishment works to begin on those aging buildings. In many cases, major renovations cannot be completed effectively while buildings remain occupied and operational. The additional swing space will create capacity for the government to fully vacate certain aging facilities, undertake major modernization works more efficiently, and return departments to improved working environments once renovations are complete. Madam Acting Speaker, public officers should be able to work in safe, modern, and functional environments that support quality public service delivery and reflect the value we place on the people who serve this country every day. Improving the condition of government buildings is part of improving the quality of government itself. Madam Acting Speaker, the negotiated purchase price for the Compass Point building is $14.5 million. Independent advice has been considered as part of this process, and the government is satisfied that the agreed price reflects fair market value. However, it is worth noting that the decision is not based on purchase price alone. The broader consideration is long-term financial sustainability. By consolidating departments into this facility, the government expects to reduce private rental costs by at least $2 million annually. In addition to operational efficiencies associated with the shared infrastructure, utilities, and support services. Madam Acting Speaker, I recognize that this represents a significant investment, but the alternative is to continue spending millions of taxpayer dollars year after year on rent while maintaining a system that we already know is fragmented and inefficient. This proposal takes a different approach. It is about operating more efficiently, improving access to government services, and reducing long-term costs to taxpayers. Most importantly, it is about creating greater financial flexibility for the government to invest in the priorities Bermudians care about most, such as infrastructure, public services, housing, and other community needs. Madam Acting Speaker, no single decision will resolve every challenge facing this country. However, responsible decisions made consistently over time place governments in a stronger position to meet those challenges effectively. This proposal is intended to do exactly that. It is a practical step, a considered step, and I believe a responsible step in the best interest of the people of Bermuda. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I call on the Minister for Health. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. As Mental Health Anti-Stigma Month comes to a close, I rise today not only to reflect on the progress we have made throughout May, but to reaffirm this government's sustained efforts to reduce stigma, expand access to care, and invest in the mental well-being of the people of Bermuda. Mental health affects every family, every workplace, every school, and every community in this country. Yet, for far too long, stigma has prevented too many people from seeking the support they need. As the Minister of Health, I want to be clear. This government is committed to building a Bermuda where asking for help is seen as a sign of strength, not weakness, where mental wellness is treated with the same urgency and compassion as physical health, and where no person feels isolated because of their mental health challenges. Throughout this month, Madam Acting Speaker, Bermuda demonstrated once again that when we speak openly about mental health, we create safer, healthier, and more connected communities. Madam Acting Speaker, this year's program was one of the most active and collaborative to date. We began in Victoria Park, where partners from across the island joined us to launch the month and highlight the importance of early intervention, education, and open dialogue. From that moment, the momentum continued and carried through every week, with meaningful conversations and community engagements taking place across the island. One of the most impactful events was the Youth Mental Health Debate, where young people explored the balance between privacy, autonomy, and parental involvement in accessing care. Their thoughtful and courageous contributions reflected the real-world challenges young people face today and reinforced the importance of creating systems that both protect their rights and support families. Their leadership continues to help shape our work on youth mental health reform, and I commend them for using their voices to challenge stigma and encourage understanding among their peers. Madam Acting Speaker, I also want to recognize the outstanding contribution of Cedar Bridge Academy, whose Vibe Tribe Mental Health Awareness Committee led a full week of student-designed activities focused on emotional well-being, peer support, creative expression, and honest conversations about mental health. What these students demonstrated is exactly what we need more of in Bermuda. Young people leading with empathy, openness, and courage. Their efforts are helping to normalize conversations around mental health and create environments where students feel safe to speak up and seek support. We also hosted a youth mental health town hall at the Bermuda College, focusing on digital wellness and the impact of social media on mental health and relationships. Local experts shared valuable insights into how digital platforms influence emotional well-being and discussed practical strategies to support healthier online habits and healthier connections. These conversations were essential, particularly as we continue to navigate the growing mental health impact associated with cyber bullying, social media, and digital pressures affecting our young people. We will conclude our Anti-Stigma Month celebration at our annual Move More Games in June on the 19th of June 2026, where this year and in the years ahead, the integration of physical and mental wellness will remain a key priority. As part of the celebration, we will recognize mental health advocates from across the community whose dedication continues to break down stigma and promote wellness for all. The ministry is proud to honor and celebrate these individuals at the Move More Games. Madam Acting Speaker, while awareness is critically important, awareness alone is not enough. It must be matched by action and investment. That is why in the 2025 mid-year budget review, the government committed $2.29 million to strengthen Bermuda's comprehensive mental health support program. This investment expanded access to counseling and therapeutic services through organizations including the Family Center, Age Concern, the Women's Resource Center, MASK, and the Youth Mental Health Plan delivered through the Bermuda College Foundation. This investment reflects our belief that there is no health without mental health. It also reflects our commitment to ensuring that every resident has access to timely, affordable, compassionate, and stigma-free health care. Madam Acting Speaker, reducing stigma requires more than policy. It requires people coming together with compassion, honesty, and a willingness to support one another. I extend my sincere appreciation to the Bermuda Hospitals Board and the Mid-Atlantic Wellness Institute, the Family Center, Solstice, the Department of Education, Bermuda College, and Bermuda Mental Health Foundation, Mindful Employer Bermuda, and Simply Bloom, and all of our partners whose leadership and collaboration made this month a success. Madam Acting Speaker, although Mental Health Anti-Stigma Month may be ending, our work certainly does not end here. This government remains committed to expanding access to care, strengthening services, modernizing mental health legislation, and continuing to invest in the organizations and professionals who support Bermudans every single day. Together, let us continue building a Bermuda where stigma has no place, where mental wellness is embraced as a shared national priority, and where every person feels seen, supported, and empowered to seek help without fear or shame. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. And before we move on, I would like to acknowledge that sitting in our gallery is a fellow MP from the UK jurisdiction, and his name is MP Callum Anderson. Let's give him a Bermuda welcome. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Now that brings us to reports of committees. There are none. And now we move over to question period, and there are several questions on the order paper that we will look at first, and then I have several persons wishing to ask ministers questions. So let's start with the questions on the order paper. Premier, you have questions before you. And I will ask Mr. DeCudo for the oral question to read his question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker, and good morning to you. Will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please provide for this Honorable House the total government revenue from the sugar tax, parentheses, customs duty on sugar, to date, broken out by financial year since 2017? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. The figures provided by the customs, let me start by saying the figures that the honorable member requested up to fiscal year 1920 are already in the public domain and will not be answered. The amounts for the sugar tax, of course, it is important to note the difference between the baseline tax on sugar and the increase which was done. And those are the figures that I'll provide. Fiscal year 2020-21, $6,226,412. Following fiscal year, $6,590,000 and $190,721. The next fiscal year, $6,283,629. The following fiscal year, $7,402,494. The following fiscal year, $7,380,561. And fiscal year 25-26, $7,996,075.
Thank you. Are there any supplementals for that question?
Yes, thank you. Will the Honorable Premier advise if any of these funds have been earmarked for specific health-related initiatives? Thank you.
Premier?
Mr. Speaker, the government of Bermuda has spent significant amount of money on health-related initiatives, including the expansion of universal health care, and all of those comes from the revenue sources that have been created by this government.
Okay, thank you. Second supplemental?
Yes, Madam Acting Speaker. Are there policies or procedures to ensure that these sugar taxes are only passed on to the consumers who actually buy products containing the sugar? Thank you.
We've revised the sugar tax to make sure that it applies to products that are on high sugar content, and those particular matters, as the honorable member knows, were done, I think, a few years ago when he was in the Senate.
Okay, thank you. Shall we move to the second question? Oh, sorry. Supplemental?
Yes, supplemental. Considering the answers that the Premier, and good morning, Acting Speaker, and to the public and to all of us. Considering the numbers that's stated, besides 1 or 2, there's an incremental increase. Is that an indication that it's not working? Since retail in many cases has been down, that the actual tax is going up that we're receiving on the sugar tax. Is that an indicator? Has it been looked at as an indicator that maybe it's not as effective as we thought?
The honorable member's assumptions are incorrect. It should be noted that customs duty is ad valorem, which means charged on the value. And as honorable member would know, there's been significant increases in the price of these things in global markets due to international trends. However, volume figures can be provided if the honorable member does. As has been stated in the House, there has been a volume change on a number of these particular matters, and those things have been reported. But I think it's important to note, and I think we hear this, we want to talk about health insurance, we want to talk about other things. The reality is that sugar and high concentration of sugar and these type of things materially impact the cost of health insurance, materially impact the amounts of non-communicable diseases in the country. The government has put forward this policy, and the opposition should determine whether or not they want people with more diabetes in the country, or whether or not that can be their position, Mr. Speaker. But we have set out where our position is.
Thank you. Are there any further supplemental questions? There being none, question 2.
Yeah, you're living in a cloud, right?
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. With regard to the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance's recent public statement that, quote, Cabinet has approved a framework to allow the government of Bermuda to accept and invest in digital assets within a clear regulatory structure, end quote, will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please inform this Honorable House on the details of that framework? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 179A8, I refer the honorable member to the statement I gave earlier today.
Point of order, Madam Acting Speaker.
Your point of
The
order.
Premier is misleading the House because his statement did not, in fact, answer the question of the framework. It was very general and did not advise what the framework approved by Cabinet was. Thank you, Madam Acting
Thank you
Speaker.
for your point of order. Do you have any further answer?
Madam Acting Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 179A8, I refer the honorable member to the statement I gave earlier today.
Okay, thank you. Question 3 is written. Did you receive the written response?
No, Madam Acting
Okay,
Speaker.
Madam Acting Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 18 of the Standing Orders of the House of Assembly, as was written to you, I did write for permission to defer question 3 to the next day meeting, and you did confirm that that was done.
I wrote it by the wrong.
Thank you.
Deferment by the wrong thing. Thank you. Yes, he did. Thank you. That moves us to the questions for Junior Minister Lister. For the first questions, they're all written. Did you receive the responses? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. I just received them.
Okay, thank you. For the second set of questions for the same junior minister, they have been deferred due to the absence of the minister, the PS, and relevant technical officer. So they've been deferred to be answered to you. There were no answers. They could not get any answers. And they've been off island for considerable amounts of time. Okay. That moves us to the written questions for Minister Haywood. They're all written questions, but I want to inform the House that for question number 1, that was disallowed. So did you receive written responses for question 2 and 3? They.
No.
I have received an answer, thank you, but was
Thank you.
unaware that question 1 was disallowed until now.
Okay, well, I did ask that you be notified, so. Yesterday, yes.
Can we receive further information as to why those questions have been
According
denied?
to Standing Order 17, and I can't remember which one it is right off my head, a very cogent and I think valid response was given regarding that because of the type of information, and I can allow the, okay, thank you. So, it would look at 17,500 different documents, and the ministry currently does not capture the information in a way that would allow for them to readily be able to give you responses. And in fact, I would say that the ministry made it clear that it would take them months to even try and collate the information, and by the end of that, you still may not have an accurate report because things probably will have changed. So, Standing Order 17.5G13. So you can have a look at that. So I disallow the question. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Madam
yes.
Acting Speaker.
Okay. So that takes us to the questions for the Minister Adams. And they are oral questions, so I ask Mr. Keene to write his questions. Read his questions.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker, members of this honorable House, and the listening public. The questions that I have for the Honorable Minister. Will the Honorable Minister please inform this honorable House what enforcement measures to date have been executed against the Greenland Farm for the chronic issues related to the farm's operations, including sewage runoff onto into neighboring properties and homes, and noxious odors emanating from the farm which negatively impact the surrounding community?
Minister?
Good morning again, Madam Acting Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for his question. Madam Acting Speaker, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources has taken several steps to address concerns related to the operations of the named farm that sit within its remit. Denner issued a warning letter last year under the Water Resources Act 1975 regarding their disposal of manure. Denner has been working with the farm operators and the ministry's waste management section to ensure transfer of manure to the Marsh Folly compost facility occurs more frequently, as reducing the volume in the manure pit is expected to help lessen odor concerns. It should be noted that complaints regarding odor at the site are not currently monitored by the Ministry of Public Works and Environment. The farm owners have also completed works along the northern boundary of the property, including berms and drainage trenches, which thus far appear to have helped reduce storm water runoff during recent periods of heavy rainfall. The farm owners are continuing to assess longer-term drainage solutions for the area. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Any supplementals to this question?
Yes, Madam Acting Deputy Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister explain to this Honourable House why, despite long-standing complaints, documented environmental concerns, sewage runoff, and persistent odor issues, the government has apparently failed to fully enforce its own environmental regulations, public health standards, and lease conditions against this tenant? The tenant is a lease on government land, and there's clear evidence that it has been in violation of that lease, but to date, to my knowledge and to the knowledge of the constituents, no meaningful action to hold them to account has taken place. Thank you.
Madam Acting Speaker, I just named off a number of actions that the government is working in collaboration with the owners of the farmer to address the said matters.
Okay, thank you. Further supplemental question?
Supplemental, yes, Madam Acting Deputy Speaker. Would the Honourable Minister accept that the warning letters and the measures taken to date by government have not meaningfully and appropriately addressed the problem with the operators of the farm as the problems continue?
Okay, thank you.
And have continued for more than 7 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister?
Madam Acting Speaker, I refer to my comments earlier, and I will go back to this. Denner has been working with the farm owners. The farm owners have also completed works along the northern boundary of the property, including berms and drainage trenches, which thus far appears to have helped reduce storm water runoff during recent periods of heavy rainfall. So works has been done, and we are beginning to see progress of said works.
Okay, thank you. Question 2.
Thank you. Will the Honourable Minister please inform this Honourable House what public funds and resources, if any, are being utilized to remedy the chronic environmental problems caused by the privately operated dairy farm?
Minister?
Once again, I thank the honourable member for his question. Madam Acting Speaker, I will say that no public funds or resources have been used to address this matter. It remains a private matter, and it is the responsibility of the farm owners to ensure compliance with all applicable environmental regulations as required by their leasing agreement.
Okay. Thank you. Supplemental?
Supplemental. If that be the case, Honourable Minister, why was there a proposal sent out to the public for manure remediation efforts? A proposal was sent out by government to the public for a private provider to provide services to address that problem.
Minister?
Madam Acting Speaker, I stand by my first comments. No public funds has been used to address any of these matters that he is referring to. all of the honorable member is referring to, sorry. Every progress that we've done thus far has been taken on by the responsibility of the farm owners.
Thank you. Second supplemental.
Yes, sir, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can the minister then explain why the proposal was sent out for a private provider to provide remediation works?
Minister?
The RFP that the honorable member is referring to was simply to assist the farm owners by finding an appropriate provider to do those services.
Okay. Thank you. That was your second supplemental. Yes, thank you. That moves us now on to the ministerial statements for today. Yes. First up is a question for the Premier by the member by the member from constituency 25.
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting
Yes.
Speaker. And since the Premier purports that his statement would have answered my submitted questions, I'm sure many of the follow-on topics I had in mind to discuss will definitely be applicable here. So I look forward to his answers. With respect to the statement that digital assets might be invested in by some of the public funds, which funds does the Premier and the government anticipate investing in these digital assets, and what sort of amounts and types of these assets does he anticipate?
Okay. Question.
Madam Acting Speaker, the funds that the government does are managed under the Public Funds Act. When amendments are brought under the Public Funds Act, we'll have plenty of time to debate said funds, but it should be noted that those are managed under the Public Funds Investment Committee.
Okay. Supplemental.
Madam Acting Speaker, is it the case that the Premier does not have any idea how he intends to invest digital assets, and that the Public Funds Investment Committee has not yet been consulted on this topic, Madam Acting Speaker?
Thank you. Premier?
Madam Acting Speaker, first of all, that's not a question, as you would well know, and the honorable member should make sure that he has his...
Point of order.
Your point of order.
What is your point of order?
I went to elementary school, Madam Acting Speaker. I know what a question is.
Okay.
Has the Premier not consulted the Public Funds Investment Committee about this topic yet? And the point of order is he misleading the House? Because I asked a question.
So you were going to answer.
Madam Acting Speaker, I sincerely hope as we get started in this wonderful session today, especially as we have visitors from overseas, that the honorable members will conduct themselves in accordance with standing orders. Because here's the reality, Mr. Speaker. He has the ability to ask the questions, and I have the ability to answer the questions. I may not like his questions, but I must answer. He may not like my answers, but I must give them. So here we go. So here he goes. He may not like them, but I'm going to give the answers. I'll wait for him to calm down so he can hear.
Okay. Okay, members, let me hear the answer to his first.
So again, Madam Acting
supplemental
Speaker,
question.
that was not a question. That was trying to say, is X, Y, and Z happening? But let me explain to the honorable member. It is very simple and clear. The Cabinet has approved amendments to the Public Funds Act. As my statement clearly said, if the honorable member went to elementary school, so surely he has the ability to read what the statement says. It says that there are digital representations of the same assets which are done, and it would be arguable that those things cannot be invested in. However, the reality is that these funds are managed under the Public Funds Act. So if the Public Funds Act right now, they have X, Y, and Z in treasuries, and they want to have treasury bills and all the other things, and they can do that in digital form, which may be more efficient. The honorable member is apparently trying to fish for something. If he wants to ask a specific question, he
Point
should
of order,
probably ask
Madam
so.
Acting Speaker.
Your point of order.
The Premier is impugning improper motive. Nobody is fishing. I'm here exercising my duties, and he still hasn't answered the question. Thank you.
Okay. Member, did you have a second supplemental? I cannot.
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Has the Public Funds Investment Committee, which I'm sure the Premier has seen the various minutes and so forth, made any recommendations regarding these sorts of digital assets that he is aware of? Thank you.
The answer is no. This is not the Public Funds Invest Committee may recommend. He's missing the point. We are amending the legislation to enable there to be investments in digital assets. If we're going to receive digital assets, then we need to have the propensity or the ability to invest them. Right now, when we get cash, just to help the shadow minister, when we get cash into the government and we have balances, we put them into treasury bills and other money market securities and other types of things. And in the future, if we receive stable coins, we could then put those into the digital representation of the exact same items. This is not a question of consultation with the Public Funds Committee. This is a question of upgrading the legislation. I mean, the Public Treasury Administration and Payments Act has specifications on the types of printing or the types of printers that need to print checks for different things. We're modernizing legislation. I'm not entirely certain what the honorable member is trying to get at.
Do you have a second question, member?
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. The statement referred to around $62,000 worth of various digital assets that were distributed to various people at these events. Where did the source of the funding for that $62,000 come from, i.e. who paid for the digital assets? Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
A great question, Madam Acting Speaker. It came from the sponsors of the conference, whether it's Circle, Coinbase, Stellar, or Kraken, Payward. They have partners that are coming in, just like last year, where they came in to go ahead and say, we want to assist the country. We want to demonstrate how digital payments adoption works. Just as last year, it was it. So to answer the honorable member's question, the companies that did, and not a dime of public money.
Thank you. Supplemental? Supplemental or third question? This is a supplemental or third? Okay. Okay.
Use this.
I'll just speak up, Madam Acting Speaker. By my sophisticated calculations, there's around $42,000 of unspent digital assets. Are the people who attend at these events able to use those in any way? Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
The persons have it in their wallets. So some people from last year saved it, they get money. Others, because the same 30 vendors who are trained are accepting digital currency so they can go to stores and spend them. So that's it. The BDC has them. The BDC knows a list of people, so they have them. So for instance, if you receive Kraken X stocks and a gold ETF, you may wish to save that. As if you receive USDC, which automatically compounds interest on a regular and ongoing basis continually, you may wish to save that. Or you may wish to spend it. We have more vendors that are accepting digital currency. We're moving into the space where we're going to get supermarkets, work with the Ministry of Home Affairs and other vendors. This is what it is, enabling us to do different things, such as when we're dealing with financial assistance programs, etc., being able to spread them wider than the two major supermarket chains and others. So there's a number of things. But the reality is that persons can retain those monies. They can spend those monies. They can spend online. They can spend overseas. They can get virtual credit cards. They can spend it. They can do numerous different things. And I'm uncertain if the honorable member did attend. I know members from his party did, but it would have been nice if the honorable shadow minister of finance would have come so he could have learned all these things and did not have to hear them from me at the desk.
Point of order. The premier is misleading the House. He should. I know he had his Ray-Bans on the day and was recording the audience. He would have seen me in the audience. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Okay. So, do you have a second supplemental? Or a third question?
I have a third question, Madam Acting Speaker. The statement referred to changes in the FinTech Development Fund to make it become more effective. Could the Premier advise what were the issues with this development fund? Why has it not been effective for its purposes since it was originally passed? Thank you.
It's not necessarily a question of whether or not it's been effective. The reality is this has been a long journey, Madam Acting Speaker, and the history of Bermuda's fintech journey has been well advertised. We started, we adjusted strategies, et cetera. We set up things that are in place. Now there are companies such as the ones that are giving these funds for airdrops who want to make sure to share and to promote. We saw the announcement in Davos where between Coinbase and Circle putting up funds, the Stellar Development Foundation has committed funds, but these things are going to be in the form of digital assets. They're not going to be in the form of fiat currency, and so we have to amend the act. So we have these type of things. So it's not a question of why the fund didn't work. We are modernizing it for the time. Before, the fund was just used to receive funds and for education, other purposes like that. Those donations don't materialize, but now we have commitments on new levels on the things in which we're working on with the on-chain economy initiative, et cetera. And so we need to modify the legislation. And the other thing which I think is important, which I hope the honorable member will take into account, is that not only are we modifying the legislation to receive digital funds, et cetera, but we're also making sure that we can use these disbursements to help Bermudian companies. The BMA is going to be putting out new legislation regarding payment service providers. In my statement, I had mentioned that some Bermudians in the past who have tried to go into these businesses have had a challenge, and it's also important for us to be able to support these companies getting set up, because if we look at digital finance over time, we are 8 years in from the legislation being established. We know in the insurance industry, many of the entrepreneurs are not Bermudian. We want to make sure that people who are working in this industry, who are doing this, who are at the Bermuda College, who are at the Barclay Institute, have the ability to become entrepreneurs, build their own apps and do things, and provide the avenue to support them. And that's why it's important for the FinTech Development Fund to be modernized.
Okay, thank you. Any supplementals? No supplementals? Okay. That takes us on to the next minister. I call on the member from constituency 7 to put her question to the Minister for Housing.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. My question from the statement is really around the $1,400 rental fee that will be charged for the tenants that will be going into the property at Middletown.
Ask your question.
I would like to know if the rent will be reviewed on an annual basis, or will it remain fixed for a specific period of time?
Okay,
Thank you, Madam President. Madam
Say-
Acting Speaker.
That's always up for review, possibly, but I'm sure the honorable member will know. I'm sure the honorable members in this House will know that the Bermuda Housing Corporation's mandate is to provide affordable homes for rent for our people, and that will continue.
Thank you. Supplementary or second question?
Supplementary,
Okay.
please, Madam Acting Speaker.
Okay.
I would like to know what the Housing Corporation's standard review period for their rental properties is, please.
Thank you. Minister.
Same answer.
Second supplemental.
Madam Acting Speaker, that's not an answer to the question.
Minister, did you want to elaborate? Just, yes. Okay. You're still on your first supplement. Go ahead. You can
Yes, Madam
rephrase
Acting
the
Speaker.
question for
The
him.
question was, what is the Bermuda Housing Corporation's review period for looking at their rent and their potential rent increases?
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
As I said, every year.
Okay, thank you. Second question?
This is a second supplemental.
Oh, yes, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to know if the tenants in that property can expect any other additional built-in costs other than the rent. Thank you.
Okay,
No, they won't.
thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Second question, please.
Yes.
Second question is, what will the, is it anticipated that other two-bedroom rental accommodations will have the same monthly rent?
Minister?
As I said earlier, the Bermuda Housing Corporation have a standard rate that they use for 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and that will continue to remain the same throughout the year.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Supplemental.
Supplemental, please. Yes, thank you. I would like to know then, if the minister will give an undertaking to make those rental fee amounts, I don't know if they're public, I haven't seen them, but if they're not, if the minister will give an undertaking to make them public.
Thank you.
Those rates have been stated in this House many times. They're on public record, yes.
Thank you. Second supplemental.
Yes, please. Yes, yes, okay. Yes, so I also would like to know what is the maintenance schedule anticipated for these properties that the government is establishing.
Okay. Minister?
Same as they are for the other 700 homes that we have.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. That's exactly why I asked the question, because we could see that the maintenance schedules haven't always been kept up to date. So if the minister wouldn't mind telling us what that actual maintenance schedule is, that would be wonderful.
Is
Thank
that
you.
your third question?
That is my third question. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's the same answer, Madam Deputy Speaker. All the units are looked at on a regular basis.
Okay. Thank you. Supplemental.
Yes, a supplemental. Can the minister please state what the schedule is, please, Madam Acting Speaker?
Okay.
It's the same schedule it was when they were in government for 5 years. It's on a regular basis. Of course, as you will know, I mean, I would think this is 101 stuff, but anyway, I'll say it. Madam Deputy Speaker, as any household in any country, you can have a regular maintenance schedule, but there will be things that happen at anyone's household at any given time that may cause you to move your schedule from one day to the next.
Thank you. Second supplemental.
No, the public knows the answer to the question. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Now I call on the member from constituency 20. He has questions for the same minister.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Thank you. So the minister's statements were quite interesting, where he said it's absolute nonsense being spun in the media, and he also said that contrarians write newspaper columns and try to cast doubt on the government. So I do have a couple of questions based on that for the minister. No, is it the minister's question one? Is it the minister's position, therefore, that building higher in Hamilton, or give a tourism incentive style act of concessions to encourage private investors to develop property in Hamilton is absolute nonsense or contrarian? That's my first question.
Okay. Minister?
I don't know where the honorable member's been, but we've done that already.
So the minister accepts that it's not contrarian. I mean, this is the point. And in fact, that is not accurate to say that there's a Tourism and Style Investment Act in the city of Hamilton to encourage building higher. That's not accurate, Madam Acting Speaker. So I have a second question.
Okay. Go straight to a second question.
Straight to a second question.
Okay.
Given the statements again about media people writing contrarian statements and whatnot, is it the minister's position that it's absolute nonsense to suggest giving long-term leases to private developers on government land to incentivize building different forms of housing?
Thank you. Minister?
Madam Deputy Speaker, to ask that question, is it complete nonsense? Absolutely not.
Absolute nonsense.
Absolutely not.
Thank you. Supplemental?
So,
Supplemental?
Madam Acting Speaker, then that means the statement is inaccurate. Okay, it's inaccurate. And this is a thing that's being put out to the public to suggest.
So do you want to put that in a question form?
Being contrarian. That's my point, is that we have ideas, we've made many suggestions, and the government has accepted. My third question.
So you're going straight
My
to
third question. Thank you. Is it the minister's position that it's absolute nonsense to suggest repurposing empty school buildings for temporary and emergency housing?
Okay. Minister?
I'd like to know what empty school buildings he refers to.
That's not an answer. It's a question to a question. Again, is it absolute nonsense to make those types of suggestions to encourage that individuals that need emergency or temporary housing, other buildings that are in government stock, such as schools, can be repurposed? I don't believe the people of Bermuda think it's nonsense, and I don't believe that's contrarian.
Yes, I do believe that's nonsense.
Thank you for confirming that good suggestions to house people are absolute nonsense. I think the people of Bermuda heard that loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
I
they're not
move
good
to my
suggestions. That's the problem.
Third minister, Minister Hayward, excuse me, talk to the chair. Hello? Thank you. Thank you. The member from constituency 20, do you have a question for the Minister of Economy and Labor? Okay. What's your question?
Thank you.
Yes.
This is for the minister. This is in relation to the report from the Registry General. Does the minister believe it's concerning and that it's difficult to sustain a Bermudian population given that there were 452 births recorded in 2025, while 558 persons passed away?
Madam Acting Speaker, the government has been extremely clear about the demographic trends in Bermuda, and the government has been deliberate as it pertains to the measures we have put in place to ensure that we have a sustainable economy.
Thank you. Supplemental, member?
No. Second question, please.
Second question. Okay.
Does the minister believe that it is concerning that almost 25% of live births in 2025 were from two non-Bermudian parents?
Minister?
I believe you would have to look at the historic trend. The question doesn't frame it in a matter as to whether or not that is normal or not. And if it is normal, then it would not be concerning.
Supplemental?
So, again, the question is a pretty serious one. And this is the third question.
Third question.
Does the minister think it is now time to introduce some form of incentives to encourage more Bermudian births, given the numbers that we have? Should the minister be putting in place incentives to ensure or to encourage Bermudians to have more children to get the numbers up?
The work that the government does is to build an environment where Bermudians can thrive. Part of that is ensuring that Bermuda remains affordable. We've had a minister appointed responsible for the cost of living. The government has worked hard to reduce taxes. The government has also provided additional social interventions such as early childhood fees, supports for families, all to encourage more children being born in Bermuda.
Thank you. Supplemental?
Would the minister therefore accept that those plans that he has talked about that are in place are not working given the downward trend of Bermudian births?
Minister?
No.
Second supplemental?
No, again, the public's heard, I think, what's required.
Okay, thank you. That takes us on to questions for Minister Furbett from the member from constituency 7. Member, put your question to the minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. My question is, when will the pilot officially roll out, and what is the current state of readiness?
For the pilot hearing program?
Yes, please.
okay.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Minister?
Thank you for that question. I did mention in the statement that the pilot rolled out the 1st of May.
Okay, thank you. Supplemental or second question?
Yes, please, a supplemental.
Okay.
Thank you, Minister. I did miss that. My supplemental is, can the minister tell us which area within her ministry is actually primarily responsible for overseeing the pilot?
Minister.
Thank you, member, for that question. I also mentioned in the paper that the area that was responsible for this program is Aging and Disability Services.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Obviously, if that's what was said, I missed that too. But I was listening, and I did go to elementary school. So, so my second question is, can the minister tell us where the public can access a list of service providers that are actually delivering the services that are part of the pilot? So I do remember that she said that applications will go to Aging and Disability, and applications for a different group will go to Age Concern, but we wasn't a whole lot talked about the actual providers. So if she could tell us how that actually works, or if there are specific service providers identified and how the public can access them.
Minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I did mention also in the paper that anyone that is interested can contact Aging and Disability Services as well as Age Concern, and they should be able to get the names of the providers by contacting those two agencies.
Thank you. Do you have a supplemental?
I do not. My third question,
Okay.
Madam Acting Speaker, is there was a lot that was mentioned, obviously, to do with seniors, but I didn't hear anything about children. So I would like to know, are parents that are not on financial assistance, there was some mention in the statement, but can the minister sort of give some clarity around how parents with children that have hearing issues that are whose parents may have private insurance, not on financial assistance or anything like that, but how is it open to parents generally that are not on financial assistance?
Minister.
Thank you, member, for the question. There is a charity which I believe one of your members is involved in, and that would be the Committee of 25. That is a charity for children that have medical concerns, conditions, and they have been very helpful to parents with if their child has had a medical condition that requires the use of hearing devices. But again, I want the listening public to understand that hearing assessments, hearing aids are provided through private insurance if it is major medical. If there is a parent out there who has questions, I also mentioned in my statement that they can reach out to Aging and Disability Services as well.
Okay, thank you. Are there any supplementals for that?
No, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Before I call on the next member, I just want to point out to the House that we have 5 minutes before lunch, yet we have 16 minutes, and I'm going to ask you whether or not we want to burn out these 16 minutes or stop at 12:30. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. Okay. Start. Right. I call on the member from constituency 10, Minister. This member has questions for you as well.
I thank the Honourable Minister for the shout out to the Committee of 25, of which I'm a member. And we do work closely together in that regard. Regarding the new pilot program, can the Honorable Minister speak to what the budget allocation is and the number of staff that are going to be required to ensure that this new initiative operates efficiently to serve the needs of the community? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister.
Madam Deputy Speaker, thanking the member for the question. The amount that we are starting with is approximately $50,000 per year. And we are estimating that that will potentially help approximately 20 persons per year. We have done a bit of research as it relates to how much hearing aids and assessments do cost. We have done the research, and these devices will also be available for persons in our community every 5 years. And if there are any other questions?
Thank you. Do you have a supplemental?
Yes, Madam Acting Speaker. Regarding the program, what is the anticipated number of clients for the current year and the trend towards increased service need? Thank you.
Thank you, member, for the question. I also just wanted to mention, I think the age concern is the one that is following through with the administrative side of this program, so there's not any additional staff needed to perform or participate in this pilot program. What is great about this pilot program is that we do have the opportunity to gather statistics and data, and it is part of the relationship that we will have with Age Concern, that they will have to report yearly on how our community, our people are using this program, so that we can make better predictions about the finances that will surround the support for this program.
Thank you. And on that note, I'm going to stop us so the Premier can carry us for lunch, unless you have a question that can be answered in less than a minute. Okay. I ask that the Premier move us for lunch, please.
Madam Acting Speaker, I move this honorable House to now adjourn for lunch until 2 p.m.
Yes. Are there any objections? There are none? So moved.